I grew up on Saturday afternoons listening to a Crosley AM radio um, that was tuned to those old country stations, small town country stations that played people like Lefty Frizzell, Little Jimmy Dickens, Ferlin Husky, Ray Price, a lot of the names you don't hear much of anymore. Um, and my mother would hide her old Forster whiskey into a glass Coca-Cola bottle and think I didn't know about it. And she'd sit at the end of the table and she'd kind of fix her hair up, Aquanet and everything else just going everywhere. And she was getting ready to head out for the evening, head out to this place. She'd go on the weekends called Herbie's Honky Tonk. I think it was in Pine Bluff, Arkansas for a while, but she'd always drop me off at my cousin's house with a pizza so he and I could share. We'd have a blast hanging out. I was thinking about those days because my cousin called me the other night. We hadn't talked in a while. And thinking back, those memories are really, really precious right now for me. From the music to the games that Jeff and I played, and to the taste of the small town mom and pop pizza joints. Shout out to Big Banjo and Dumas, by the way, still my favorite. So I was thinking about that, and I thought, you know what, that I'm gonna go over a chapter in my last book, When the Music Fades. It's called Old Country. It's about things that don't change even when the world does. The music that still sounds like home, the way we were raised, the habits, the faith, and the stories that stay with you long after the roads get paved and the radios change their tune. Old country is, it isn't, I should say, it isn't about being stuck in the past. It's more about carrying the past with you in your voice, in your work, in the quiet moments when you realize things were right there all along. So let's take a minute and kind of settle in. This one's for the folks who still know where they came from, and they aren't ashamed to say it. So hope you enjoy. There's something about those old country songs from the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s that stirs a man's soul in a way nothing else can. You hear that familiar twang of the guitar, the steady beat of the drums, and suddenly you're back at a time where life was simpler and troubles were easier to drown in cold beer. The voices of Earl Thomas Conley, of Jones and Conway and the Hag come through the speakers like old friends, and before you know it, your hand's reaching for a bottle without even thinking. The songs are full of stories, tales of lost loves, long highways, small towns that feel like home. You listen to Chiseled in Stone by The Voice, Vern Gosdin, and you almost taste the bitter sweetness of a love that never dies. It's a sad song, sure, but there's comfort in the sadness. A kind of understanding that life is hard, but you keep going. And what better way to ease the pain than with a cold beer in hand, letting the music and the alcohol take the edge off. Then there's the rowdier side of country music, the songs that make you want to gather up your buddies, head down to the nearest honky tonk, and drink till the sun comes up. You hear Hank Jr. sing Family Tradition, and it's like an anthem for the night spent with people who understand you better after a few rounds of beer. The music makes you want to loosen up, laugh louder, forget about everything else except the moment that you're in. The thing about those old country songs is they don't just tell stories, they create a mood. They bring you into their world, a world where the heartache is real, but so is the joy. The simple pleasures of life, like a good drink and good company, are often celebrated, and that's what makes you want to crack open a beer and toast to it all. As the music plays, the memories start to surface. Maybe it's the first time you heard Johnny Cash on your granddad's stereo, or the night spent sitting on a tailgate with the radio turned up and a case of beer between friends. Those were good times, and the music brings them back like they were yesterday. You want to drink to them to honor the past and to the people that were there with you, even if they're not around anymore. And when you're sitting there, beer in hand, and that old country music starts playing in the background, it feels like you're part of something bigger. You're not just drinking because you're thirsty, you're drinking because the music has stirred something deep inside you, a longing, a memory, a feeling that can be satisfied by the smooth burn of cold beer and the sound of those familiar songs. So you sit back, let the music wash over you, and take another sip. Because with those old country songs, drinking a beer feels like the most natural thing in the world. It's a way of connecting to the past, to the stories in the songs, and the person you were when life felt a little bit easier and the music was all you needed to feel all right. There was a rhythm to life in the Delta, one that was felt in the stillness of the fields and the quiet of the small towns. And that rhythm seemed to quicken as the week wound down, leading into Friday nights and Saturdays that belonged to country music, dirt roads, and the taste of cold beer. The work was done, for a little while at least, and there was space to breathe. That's when those old country songs made the most sense, when they filled the air like an old familiar voice calling you back to something you knew well. Friday nights were always the beginning. You could hear the hum of tractors rolling out of town, kicking up dust on the gravel roads as they headed for somewhere quieter, somewhere more open. There were bonfires to be built, coolers to be filled, and music to be played. The first notes of an old George Strait song would come through the speakers, and that was it. You were out of your head, out of your worries, and into the night. There was something about those nights that felt endless, like time stretched out as long as you had the right company, the right music, a few cold drinks to keep you going. The dirt roads twisted and turned through the flatlands, running along the fields of cotton and soybeans, stretching out towards the horizon. It felt good to drive them with the windows down, the air still warm from the day's sun, and the sound of Waylon or Whitley filling the cab. You felt free, even if it was just for a few hours, and the music made that freedom feel like something solid you could hold on to. Saturdays were no different, just a little slower. The pace of the day was easy, and so were the people. Mornings might have been spent working, mowing yards, fixing things around the house, but by the afternoon, it was time to head out again. Dirt roads led to old barns or out-of-the-way fishing holes, places where you could be alone with your thoughts or with friends who didn't need much to say. The music kept playing, though, always in the background. Those old songs from yesteryear were as much a part of the Delta as the dirt under your boots. It was hard to separate the music from the place. The Delta had a way of getting under your skin, just like those songs did. The slow drawl of a pedal steel guitar and the rough edge of a singer's voice, those sounds were tied to the land, to the way the sun set slow and low over the fields, casting everything in gold. There was something about the way the Delta looked in late afternoon light that made you understand why many of those old country songs were about heartbreak, loss, and bittersweet beauty of life. You could feel it in the air, in the dirt, in the music that never seemed to leave you, even when the radio was off. And the beer, well, The beer just made it all feel better. It was cold in your hand, and it had a way of making the long stretches of road, the open fields, and the sound of those country songs blend into something that felt just right. You sit on the tailgate, the dust settling into the sun as it dipped below the horizon, and you'd listen. Not just to the music, but to the sounds around you, the crickets, the bullfrogs, the distant rumble of a tractor, the rustle of leaves in the breeze. It all felt like it was connected, like the songs were made for those nights and for that place. You realized in those moments that there was something sacred about it all. The dirt roads, the Delta, the old country music. They were more than just parts of your life. They were the threads in the fabric of who you were. And as you sat there listening to the last notes of a song fading into the night, you knew that this was something you'd carry with you forever. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, ease on over to my YouTube channel and help me build up my subscriber base, and maybe we can continue to tell these stories and reach a lot of people. Thanks a lot, and I appreciate it. Y'all have a blessed night. See you.